Now that the corners are all rounded, I've gone to my isometric view, clicked on the view cube, went isometric. I'm going to zoom in because now I'm going to put my name on the top of this, or my initials. If you've got more than 6 characters in your name, you're going to have to probably just use your initials, or if you've got a shortened version, like if your name is, like, say, Benjamin, and you go by Ben, put Ben on there. But you don't have a lot of space on here, so keep it as short as possible, no more than 6 characters. Spaces count as characters, so it does like a dot. So here's how we do this. We're going to treat this just like a normal sketch, except now we're going to click on this surface between the two, on the two sides. So right now it's my top in isometric view. If for some reason your numbers aren't the same as mine, let's say your 2 is on the front or the back or the side, it's whatever side the 2 is on is where we're going to put our name because it gives us the most space. So I clicked on the top. I'm going to click sketch like I normally would. And now I'm going to use the N key to rotate it normal to view. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And now the tool we're looking for is called the text tool. It is way up here on our drawing. It's the letter A. All you're going to do is click on that. And it's going to pretty much have you create a text box. The text box I'm going to create isn't going to be it's going to be bigger than my dice. I'll resize it later. But I'm just going to click and drag a box, and now it gives me the option to write my text. So I'm going to just type my last name. Open Sans is the default font. There's a few other ones, but Open Sans seems to be the best one when you turn it bold, because that's a big deal. You got to make it bold. If you don't have it bold, it's going to be way too compact or way too small, and it's not going to print very well. All right, so once you bold it, it'll give you a sample right here. Go ahead and hit the checkbox on the text, and it's going to show you your name. Now that is way, way bigger than it needs to be, but that's fine because we're going to fix it. All right, so when you look at your Onshape tools, you're going to have one up here that says linear pattern. That's what it defaults to for these. There's a set of features here that we're going to use one of them, but not the default one, which is the linear pattern. We're actually going to click on the drop down and go to transform. That's the one we want to use. So if we click on that, now it's got the transform icon up here and it's turned blue, which is what we want. And now if you notice when I mouse over the bottom line of this text box, it turns gold. That's what we want to see. So what I'm going to do with that transform tool on, I'm going to click on that bottom line, and now it's going to give me a set of tools. I'm trying to maneuver this a little bit. Oh, that was too much. My roller doesn't work too well on my mouse here at home. So I'm going to move this off of my screen here just to show you, or off of my name just briefly to show you how this tool works. All right, so this box is the exact same size right now as this gold dash line around my name. As you can tell, it's way too big for my dice. There's this button right here, or this little triangle. When you click and hold and drag on that, drag down or inward, it shrinks it up, makes it bigger. So I'm going to shrink this down to start with. There's also this right here is a very important tool. This little circle with curved lines, if you click and hold on that and move your mouse, it's going to rotate it. We want to rotate it to 45 degrees. So now I've shrunk it down. I rotated it to 45 degrees. My goal is to put it in this area right here. If you click and drag on the square here, then you can move it. So I'm going to move it over here. Now, it's kind of a little annoying that this doesn't change with this frame, this blue frame. But this is where This is what size it's going to transform to right now. We have to stay on this flat edge of our dice. We can't spill over onto the curved edges here, so I have to shrink this down some more. So I'm going to shrink it down until I can move it so that if I zoom in up here, we're not touching. We're still on the flat side. We're not touching the round edge up here. Same thing over here. And then down here, we're not touching down here either. I could make this a little bit bigger, but I'm not going to worry about a fraction of an inch bigger. So once I've got it pretty well where I want it to be, I've got it all on the flat side, I've got it sized, I've got it rotated. You can see how my mouse here has that little picture of a mouse and a green check mark on the left mouse button. If I click twice on the left mouse button, it's going to complete that transformation, and now my text is rotated, it's sized down. You're going to notice, if you look at my letter G here, it goes actually below the box. Sometimes that happens with your J's as well in this font. So if that does happen to you, like maybe the J is the first letter in your name, you might have to redo your transformation, and that's just easy to do. You just click on the transform tool again, click on the bottom, and you can resize as needed if that's something that you run into. And then you can resize it back down, move it around so that so none of your letters are on the curved side. All right. Once you've got your name on there where it needs to be, it's not spilled over, go ahead and hit the check mark on your sketch, finish your sketch. Just like any other sketch, I am going to go to my isometric view now, zoom in, and now I'm going to, just like any other sketch, I'm going to extrude. Now this one's a little different. Often what happens is kids will select this flat side because it looks like it's grabbing all the letters, but it's grabbing this whole chunk, which is not what we want. So make sure when you're grabbing your name, it's going to highlight the whole thing, including that border, but if you look closely at that border, it's dashed lines, so it's not going to do anything with those. But with your whole name highlighted, click, and it's going to make it 1 inch tall. As you can see, we need to remove, just like our dots. And instead of going 0.1 on this one, we're going to go 0.05 for our depth. Hit enter. It's not going to go very deep. Hit the checkbox when you're done, and now you should have your name on, or your nickname, or your initials, whatever you can fit on your dice. Once you have that done, along with all the rounding of the edges, your dice is pretty well done.